Da-na-na, da-na-na. Do you think are we gonna get do we get sued if we or is that in the public domain? How long has da-na-na, da-na-na? Has it been 50 years? How long has
Oh,
ESPN existed? I think
yeah, I don't know.
in 50 years you're allowed to do that, right?
Yeah, it's something
How
like that.
how
I think
old
it's
is
actually, I think it's 80.
Oh, so I'm gonna get sued. That's what you're telling me.
No, no, it has to be a certain length of time. So like if you have a copyrighted sound,
Do you
I
think
think it has to be.
they had
Well,
to have
it's like,
copyrighted that, right?
oh, for sure, yeah. So it's like 15 or 20 seconds or something. If you have consecutive 15 or 20 seconds, that's when it becomes like copyrighted. Because like you'll watch people's YouTube videos where they'll have like 5 second snippets of like copyrighted stuff, but I think there's a window of how
Oh,
much
so
time you
you
can.
you think I can get so if I just do it with my just da-na-na, da-na-na, I'm good. No
Yeah,
no lawsuit.
yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah. It should be
And
fine.
get this. Maybe not a great date for you, but ESPN launched September 7th, 1979. So like I
Dang.
waited to come into the world until ESPN existed because I was born December of 1979.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
I don't think it's a mistake that that ESPN came just 2 months before I did. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so welcome everybody to the Wash Up and the Wannabe. I put Ammon's name up first in all the logos. He's the Wash Up. I'm the Wannabe. Um, we'll probably I'll really quick. I'll say where I got the name from, just so people are not like, what on earth? And it is episode 1. So now would be the time. So I did not really play organized sports at all my whole life except basketball. So I played rec league basketball, and then went to some Duke basketball camps, which is how I ended up a Duke fan. And Mike Krzyzewski's nephews played on my rec team, so like that's where my love of all things Duke comes from. And then my senior year, because my parents were like, "You're not allowed to play football," because my brother broke his femur playing football when he was 8. I mean, it was a minute ago, and they're like, "Nope, no football for you." And so when I actually turned 18 as a senior in high school, and I was like, "I'm playing football. I don't care I'm an adult. I'm a legal adult. I do what I want to." And so I played 1 year of high school football, and I was the team's Rudy. I did not play very much, and I took my tape. I'm sure when I asked the coaches for my game tape, they were like, "This is the dumbest guy I've ever met in my life." And so I took my game tape to Western Carolina University, and let's just say I had to go meet them in person because I didn't get any callbacks. And they're like, "Ah, Brad, we can't really waste a roster spot on you and bring you in early to football camp. You can only bring in so many players. So here, let's make a deal. If you want to come in as a manager, we'll let you come in to training camp as a freshman as a manager. How's that sound?" And I'm like, "Will I be on the field?" They're like, "Yes, you'll be on the field." Like, that's good enough for me, bro. And so my
That's awesome.
introduction to college football was as a manager, and I would watch the drills taking place. I love defense. I'm a defensive guy. I love smashing into other human beings
Hmm.
at full speed. And so I would hang out with the defensive line, and what I found out is they often need a scout team running back. And I was like,
Hmm.
I can be that guy. My coach in high school
Nice.
wanted me to play running back, but I'm like, I'm tall and skinny. Tall, skinny guys don't play running back. They play wide receiver. So I
Yeah.
played wide receiver in high school. But in college, I was like, I just want to be on the field. And so I opted to be scout team running back. And I put myself into every drill. I would watch how the drill's
Wow.
going, and I'd be like, here's how this drill can be better if I'm in it. And so I would create a place where the scout team running back would be present in all these drills, and before you knew it, I was full speed. Coach was like, "Okay, you go here, you block here. All right, Mad Brad, this is your hole." And my one job in life for 4 years was to get through that hole as fast as I could, as hard as I can. And I would hit guys that
That's
were
awesome.
so much bigger than I was. They called me Mad Brad because they're like, "This guy's crazy." And so I never played a down of college football on Saturday, but I lettered all 4 years because I was
That's awesome.
once again the team's Rudy, and so that's where the wannabe comes from. Ammon, tell us where did you first play basketball, and then when did you give up basketball?
Well, well, actually, basketball, basketball and football. So I started basketball in probably second grade. Football I started in fourth grade, and that was just flag football. And played it all throughout high school. Never played it officially in college or anything, but I was on varsity for both basketball and football, and won championships in both, state championships in both basketball and football. I was on those championship teams. So
Which state?
Vermont. Yeah, so Vermont.
Oh,
so,
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
You got to tell me, why did you never play college basketball?
Basketball wasn't my main sport. So football was in high school, football was my love. Yep. So,
and there wasn't a place at the University of Vermont for a football player?
They really focus on basketball. We'll say that. Yeah. They really focus on basketball, and I wasn't interested in a local college. So I was more invested in going out to where my sisters had gone, which was out in BYU. I actually got accepted to both BYU and BYU Idaho, and I actually did a football camp out at BYU. And my plan was to walk on.
And then?
At the end of the day, when I was accepted by both, I still remember sitting at the computer, and it was going to be accept or deny for one of the schools. And I just kind of sat there and said, who am I kidding? And so I declined BYU and accepted BYU Idaho, which is where my sisters went. Part of me still regrets that decision because
you still think about that day.
I still think about that day because, obviously lots of good things have come from that, met my wife and yada, yada, yada. Right.
Yeah.
But part of me is kind of like, wow, that's a pretty big decision just to make off of a whim,
Yeah, I'd say so.
Because like my whole life I'd been playing football. My dad, had spent pretty good money to my senior year to send me out to BYU to do their football camp and get in front of coaches and stuff. And so I just kind of was like, yeah, who am I kidding? I'm not gonna.
What?
So yeah, it was one of those kind of you never know what could have happened because at BYU especially, like there's a lot of walk-ons and they more than I think some colleges, because a lot of those bigger colleges, they get a lot of scholarships and they're doing a lot of recruiting, and BYU is too, but they have a lot of walk-on opportunities, I'll say. And so anyway,
I intentionally went to a very small. It was 1AA back when that existed.
Oh yeah,
Western Carolina University was 1AA, and I was like, if I go anywhere bigger, they wouldn't even let me anywhere near the field, let alone on it. So, man, I'm so okay. So now we have to be coaches. Then that's just basically this podcast has to end up where you and I are back on the field doing what we love. All right, we're gonna. I had no idea that. Maybe. So you're so good at basketball, though. I don't understand. Like your services as a sharpshooter. Look at Peyton Pritchard. He plays 10 seconds every playoff game, but every one of them is a half-court three-point shot. Let's go.
Let's not bring that up just yet. Huh?
Okay. That's episode 2. Episode 2.
That's still raw. That's still
raw. How Ammon could have been Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah, right. No, it's interesting. Basketball in high school was it was kind of my secondary sport. I loved it, but I gained a lot more appreciation, a lot more skill actually after high school. So when I went to college, so I served my 2-year mission for the church and, obviously played off and on there. But when I actually went to college, I was playing and actually have continued to play 3 times a week, 5:30 a.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And
I know you're the real deal. I've played you. You're the real deal.
Well, and in college, there were times when I would play Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the morning, and then I would play evenings on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then
A
I'd be
lot of
doing rec
basketball.
league and stuff.
Yeah.
So like I was living and breathing basketball through college, anything I could, and so it was really interesting because like my skill level with football was kind of like it was peaking in high school, and then it just
Right.
kind of tapered because
Plateaued.
I was playing some flag football but not doing a lot. Whereas basketball, it was like in high school, it was kind of like this kind of steady growth,
Yeah.
but then in college, it was like it just skyrocketed. So after college and even now, like I still think I'm improving and getting better, like my best version of myself now than I
Did
have.
you play intramurals? Tell me you have like several intramural championships.
No, no, I wouldn't say that. There's still a lot of
What?
good players.
Oh,
There's still a lot of good players. No intramural championships, but I did play intramurals every chance I
right.
could get.
I have a lot of rings from intramurals.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
We
Intramurals are
won.
great.
Oh, I love. It's great. And there was a limit to how many. Like if you played for the university, you could only have so many of us on a team at once, and so
Yeah.
like I was our football guy for the for our BSU. I played for the Baptist Student Union. That's another story. My favorite moment though is in a playoff game. I had a crack block on a guy, and it's flag football, so crack blocks are frowned upon in flag football.
Yeah.
But it was worth every yard of that 15-yard penalty to
get that. Yeah.
That guy never saw that coming, and he was
funny.
done. Oh man, I love football so much. Okay, well let's get to oh man. Tyler, sorry I did not see this come in. And Joe, what is up? What is up? Good to see you, Joe. Brother Sink, look at that, Ammon. Brother Joe is tuning in. Let's go. Okay. Well, welcome everybody to the Wannabe and the Wash Up. And we appreciate everybody joining us for tonight for episode 1. So without further ado, let's get started. Ammon, what I saw this. Okay, here we go. Present. And we're going to go. Why are these two breaking up? What is happening? What are they saying? What are they saying to each other right here? Because that is not my, that's a look that says this is over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. From what I've read, it's not a lot has come out, honestly, as far as, who is doing it. I mean, Joe Lacob, the owner, he was part of the talks, obviously. Per your report here, Klay asked, Curry not to be a part of the conversation because Curry's not going to let them get rid of Klay.
Yeah, I was like, did this blindside you?
Oh yeah, completely. So like, Klay didn't have his greatest year, but it wasn't his worst. I mean, well, I guess statistically, technically, it was, but if you actually look at his stats after the what's it called, the All-Star game,
okay,
which is like kind of like the final push to kind of finish the season.
Yeah.
He was, I think, I can't remember the stat. It was Stephen A or something was talking about it. It was like he was the top. I want to say he was like in the top 10 or something in the NBA of like overall shooting and scoring, something like that. Which again, he didn't have a great year to start off, but he finished strong. And I still remember several games where I'm sitting there waiting for someone to do something, and then Klay Thompson shows up and does his thing and scores 35 points for the team and keeps them in the game. It's like, I think the worst part about it is you're getting rid of a veteran who's been one of the most iconic players for this team at a time which makes completely no sense. It's like, okay, you still have Curry, you still have Draymond. Like, what was Klay doing so bad that you felt like you had to get rid of him? Now, if Klay has made it clear he didn't want to leave and he wanted to finish out his career, so there's no way there's no way Klay was asking to leave, because so at the beginning and throughout all of this last season, constantly he was saying, I would love to live and die as a Golden State Warrior. complete his career.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So if it comes out that he was the one initiating the trade, then obviously something pretty big happened, and there was something changed. But otherwise, this is coming from the top down, where they looked at the year and were like, okay, he didn't do his best. And it's like, you guys, this is one of the most iconic outside shooters, a Splash Brother. Like, what are you doing?
Okay, so let me ask this then. Do you think there's a situation where when was he up for contract? Like, was this the year to sit down and
yep, this is a contract year. Yep.
Okay. So obviously that's why the issue's on the table. Is there a universe in which Klay Thompson says, I'll just take, $5 million a season to play?
Well, so part of the problem was that I think it was back during the trade deadline, they did actually offer Klay Thompson. I think it was a 2-year, $50 million deal or something like that, or it was like a 2-year, $40 million. So it's somewhere where he was making $20 or $25 million a year.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. He actually turned it down at the trade deadline.
Whoa!
So here's the thing: they technically they technically offered him the olive branch, so to speak, saying, "Hey, we know your contract's up at the end of this year. We're at the trade deadline. We're not, obviously, we're not going to trade you now in the middle of the season, but we're going to."
What?
They wanted to solidify the contract, so he turned it down. I think he turned it down. Excuse me, I got something in my throat because obviously he felt like he was probably worth more.
No.
Which comes up that I think
oh man, the storm is totally cutting out your hold. Hold on, let me. Oh no!
That was my audio out.
Oh, there, you're back. Okay, so go ahead.
You're back. Okay. So he had wanted closer to $35 million. Obviously, part of the problem is a lot of that depends on your performance, right? So like, I think he was intending to really be like, I'm more worth than that. I'm going to prove it to you, like as the year goes on. So after the trade deadline, and that's all I can say is, and so what you have now is you have him not having a great year. And now they are at contract is up at the end of the year. and I think with the other salaries on the table, they could only offer him, I don't know, we'll just say 15, 20 million, something like that.
Sure.
At that point, then it's just, now you're asking him to, undercut his value.
But if you're in that spot, don't you just stay just for the like what life is like as a basketball player playing with your guys?
I mean, I do. I think a lot of people would. I mean, you look at what's his name? Iguodala. That's basically what he did when he became a veteran on that team. He did a lot of personal sacrifice. And the problem with that is it takes a really special person to be able to look at that dollar sign and say that doesn't matter to me, right? And I'm not saying Klay isn't that person, but if you look at tens of millions of dollars, that's still substantial.
But can you say that now? Like, I think now Klay has proven he is that guy. Because do you think he was even given a chance to be humble and to come back and say like, guys, I'll like give me $5 million. I want to be because how do you go from I want to live and die as a Golden State Warrior to I'm gone?
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of it was probably turning down the initial offer, probably soured the pot a little bit.
Oof.
Was because basically what that's saying is I value myself more, and that's not enough for me. And then to the ownership, they're like, that's a pretty good deal. It's only a 2-year contract, and we still value you, and you're not having a great year, but so something also to consider too is they technically did right by Klay 2 years in a row. Remember, he got injured, his Achilles and
yes.
and
Oh yeah,
they paid him for both years he did not play.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess from a like Klay Thompson the person, I have a really hard time. Okay, what was more surprising to you, seeing the headlines that Klay was going to be traded, or when the Celtics got rid of Marcus Smart?
Actually equally, because DeMarcus Smart was Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say equally shocked. Well, actually, no, less so. Only because Klay's been there for 10 years. He's an icon.
What do you mean? Marcus Smart was a Celtic for 9.
Okay, fair point. But in my mind, Klay is more of an iconic part of the Golden State, like, not brand, but
I mean, they're called the Splash Brothers. Like, they have nicknames.
Right. That's exactly. That's literally. That's I mean, they literally changed the game together. Right?
I guess I would. And to me, okay, so because I was looking, I feel like didn't Tom Brady? Wasn't there a year where he did take less money so that the team could sign other guys? I'm almost positive.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. That dude's all about winning.
Okay. Patriots Woodhouse. Huh.
Yeah, the biggest thing is, like, it seems odd to me that, well, so it makes sense from the top down. So the executives for 2 years straight when he was injured did right by him and paid him.
For sure. Yeah.
We're gonna take care of you, Klay. You meant so much to this organization.
Yeah.
The year, he comes back and they actually have some good years. I mean, they won that championship. Last year wasn't great, but it was still a good year. Not their best. But then again, at the trade deadline, they obviously offered him and wanted to get him.
Because here's what I will say, and it'd be interesting. In the case of Klay Thompson, Boston has a track record of going back and getting folks that they love. So, for instance, Al Horford was a trade at some point, and then they're like, but we'd love to get you back for our championship. And they did. They go out, they get him back on the team, and then Banner 18 gets a ring on Al Horford's finger.
Yeah.
I'm hearing they're looking at Daniel Tice, who was a former Boston Celtic who I love with all my heart, at getting him back because Kristaps Porzingis isn't available for the start. And I honestly, and because I watched Marcus Smart's podcast, he was on a dude's podcast. I'll see if I can get that up on the screen so that I'm not just like referring to things ambiguously. And Marcus Smart podcast. Okay. And he was a total gentleman. Like, absolutely was like, no, I love these guys. I don't have any animosity towards these guys right here. Marcus Smart, let's see, Title League, I think is Run Your Race. Run Your Race is the name of the podcast. I watched the whole podcast, and he asked him point blank, like, was it hard for you to watch these guys go win a championship after you had been there for 9 years, and literally as soon as they trade you, they're champions by the end of the year. And so there's a lot of similarity in terms of Marcus Smart and Klay Thompson, but I feel like there's a path where Marcus plays for a few years in Memphis, and then they go get him and bring him back at a significantly reduced price. But Marcus values being in Boston, being part of that program, being in that family enough to be like, yeah, bro, I'm $3-4 million. I'll take that to play in Boston. Is there a path home for Klay to finish in
Yeah, I think there could be. The Golden State did that with actually Iguodala. You'll remember a couple years back they traded him off to the Heat, and then they brought him back on.
And then they
I think
won
it
with
was,
him, didn't they?
I believe so. And then it was Gary Payton. They did the same thing. So Gary Payton, the year they won the championship, was killing it. Was an amazing part of their roster.
The glove.
Then the year after that, he had done so well, they couldn't re-sign him because his value was too high in the market for their market cap. So they actually traded him off to the Portland Trailblazers, and he was a wash up there just because the way that team plays, or just the environment just wasn't suiting how he plays. Like, he was still fine, but like his value wasn't the same. Golden State brings him back. He's an immediate impact. Like, the way that Golden State plays with certain players just changes their value, which is really interesting. So I think Klay can be successful anywhere else, but he's been in the Golden State system for 10 years.
Okay, do you honestly think he's going to be successful in Dallas?
No. Well, so yes and no. So here's the thing.
Let the record show his first answer was no.
Now here's the thing.
Now change your answer.
I want to say yes because he's an all-star. Dude's an amazing player, right? So amazing players will still have success. Is he going to be as successful as he was in Golden State? No.
That's not what Kevin Durant said.
Yeah, well, and that's a fair point. Kevin Durant hasn't done anything since he's been
since he left Golden State. Anything.
Zero.
Kevin,
so there is that,
$2 million. Yeah. Just take $2 million and go home, Kevin. What are you doing?
I know. That's a fair point. What I think is interesting though is that Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, that team. I mean, they made it to the freaking finals. They're a great team. The problem
I don't know I don't think they were missing anything other than. Well, nobody is beating the Celtics.
Well, so here's the thing: is that team has a very different style, and partially the style is get the ball in the hands of Kyrie Irving or Luka Doncic and let them go to work.
Good luck.
Now, if they're not scoring, they actually do rely a lot on passing out to the wings or dumping it off to guys that can dunk it or just take a corner three. So, like, the other guys do have to step up when that becomes an issue where the guys can't score. In that role, Klay is going to destroy teams. Okay. And so, like, in that setting, if he's getting, Luka Doncic driving to the hoop and they have to double Luka and then there's a corner three open, I mean, Thompson's going to have open threes all day long. So, like, there is a very real possibility where the trade to the Mavericks have to be sitting here thinking, we didn't make the championship and we just landed one of the best outside shooters in this league.
So are they literally just going to stick Klay in the corner and force teams to double Luka?
Why not? Yeah. Why not? Like, I mean, you think about it, it's like, okay, so we have to double Luka. The Celtics don't double.
The Celtics won't double.
That's fine, but the point is you're either getting an all-star Luka or Kyrie scoring on you one-on-one, or you're getting a double, and then you've got Klay Thompson shooting outside three. I'll take my chances.
Well, you're going to have to because he's no longer on the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, no. Now, part of me kind of wants him to fail so that Golden State can be like, you know what? You're actually only worth $5-10 million. And
you should have taken that deal, Klay.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a lot easier to be like, hey, you had a rough year with Mavs, come back home, type of thing, versus what if, he blossomed. They traded him for.
I honestly, and I don't want Marcus Smart to fail. I really do. Like, I watched that podcast and I'm like, I love Marcus Smart just as much. I didn't know because I've been afraid to because it broke my heart when they traded Marcus Smart. I was like, the guy's hair is green. He's a Celtic. What are you doing? He dyed his hair. And it was, so I watched the podcast and I was like, I still love this guy. He's every bit the human being that he was when he bled, literally bled for this. There were many times where he had to leave the court and get something bandaged from diving after a loose ball to go back on the court. And I kind of hope that's the pattern for Marcus. I hope he doesn't do as well in Memphis. And in a year, I hope it's just a year, because I would love to see us reacquire. I'd love to see the Celtics reacquire Marcus Smart before the trade deadline next year, and then let's hang banner 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so that being said, did we see the Celtics prove to the league that more than basketball matters with a team?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a few years where they've. Oh, did I cut out?
You're back.
Whatever, we're good.
You're back.
It's been a few years that they've gotten close and haven't been able to finish it, and this year was a different year. So I think they have every right to say that.
I feel like, and it was really cemented to me. So I watched a lot of post-game interviews, and there was an interview where somebody asked Jaylen Brown about Peyton Pritchard, and he turns to that guy and he goes, he was in for 4 seconds and he hit a half-court buzzer beater to just remind the other. He's like, that guy's an effing legend. And when I heard who was formerly the highest paid player in all of the NBA, right? And then Jalen just got his deal, which is even higher than Jason got his deal, which is even higher than Jalen's. For him to say, like, yeah, bro, what you're talking about is why we win. Like that guy who you think isn't important, who just comes in to hit a half court shot 5 times in the finals, or 5 times in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like never before that I'm aware of have there been special teams like there was with the Boston Celtics, where and you think about Xavier Tillman coming in when Porzingis goes down in game 2 right, and there was
his 3-point shot.
Yes.
His only 3-point shot he took the entire playoff series.
Yeah, the entire playoffs.
All playoffs.
And I feel like, how do you beat a team who's just gonna bring in some guy who you think is warming the bench, and he has the most clutch moment, and then he just goes back to the bench? Like when you're talking about, okay, this is the Dallas Mavericks, this is their game plan, and they're gonna force you, but the Celtics are like, I don't know we're going to throw somebody at you that you're not prepared for, that you don't have, there's nothing in your book about what to do with this guy, and he's going to go off that night. And I feel like, what was that Detroit Pistons team? Oh, 2004? That was the last Detroit Pistons? Because in all the talk since the finals, everybody keeps bringing up the Detroit Pistons, who were, I think it's 2004, who were without a superstar. That they just simply beat everybody at the game of basketball and took home a championship. And I think that at the end of the day, that mantra from Joe Mazzulla of whatever it takes for however long it takes, that the Celtics didn't care that they lost every game 2 of every series. They didn't care. And if I'm being totally honest, I think the Celtics threw game 4 on the Mavericks home court so that they could go home and stomp the Mavericks at the Garden. Because I caught one of there was like a series of what they did leading up to the final, and they were cutting and splicing and interviewing guys, and Joe Mazzulla literally told his guys, we're going to win this thing at home. And so,
really?
So when they go up 3-0, I got to tell you, if I'm a betting man, they had no intention of winning game 4 in Dallas.
Yeah, you could have made a lot of money on game 4,
Yeah, I wish I would have been if I was a betting man, and I had heard that clip from Joe Mazzulla that where he told everyone we're going to win this at home. I was like,
yeah.
yeah, you can't officially throw a game in pro sports,
Right.
because there's a lot these days, especially there's a lot of money implications
Right.
and anyone knowing that you're going to do it. So
Yeah,
it'd be
that's
one
true.
thing for the players to know that it's something totally, because if you look at the effort for game 4, come on.
Yeah,
Come
you're
on.
like,
You guys just want to, and they made sure nobody got injured and nothing dramatic happened, and they lost by 40 points.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone's like, "Oh no, it's the curse. The curse is back." They're like, and then they just spanked.
Mavericks are like, we're gonna do it now. We got you.
We watched you guys last year come back from down 3-0. We're gonna we lost by 25. Okay, well, I guess enjoy your championship, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, Paul George. I think Paul George is a terrific player. Knowing what we now know about trying to put these superstars together, like, is it going to matter in the city of Philadelphia that Paul George is now there with perpetually injured Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, who nobody really cared about until he went nuts this year?
Yeah, he's gone nuts. I don't know. Paul George has been around a lot. He keeps jumping ship.
Does he have? He doesn't have a championship? Does he?
I don't think so. And I know that the Warriors were actually looking at trying to get him. Obviously they didn't, but I mean, the 76ers are doing pretty good on their own already. I think Paul George is gonna, obviously, when you bring star power.
Look, it'll sell tickets, but what was the impact on the game, though?
Well, the biggest problem with star, when you try and put stars together, the only way it works is when they remove their ego, and that's the only thing. That's the question mark, right? So when you bring in Joel Embiid and now Maxey's, because leave the game and you just play the game as teammates. And I think that's why you have a lot of people that keep jumping teams, is because just in general there's too many people with an ego. Whereas Celtics, like you mentioned, the reason why it's a championship is because those all-stars finally realized, I think over the last few years, forget my ego, I just want to win it. I want to win it.
Yeah, I just want to play until July or June, late June. And that scene behind me, that's all. I just want to see the confetti. I want to see all the confetti in the parade. Yeah,
So I think it remains to be seen. It could be a master trade and do great things, but
Okay, as a dad, Ammon, how do we teach our kids that they ain't so special? that they, well, because look, their head at some point in Jason Tatum's mind, he had to flip a switch that said, I don't have to score 30 points every night. My 8, 9, 10, 11 assists are more powerful to our team chemistry than me getting 30 points. And when he decided that it didn't matter whether it was his 16 rebounds or his 11 assists or his 18 points, that it was just making the right basketball play in the right basketball situation, and that was what was going to get them. How do we tell our kids to put aside their ego and just be willing to do what needs to be done in that moment? And that's sometimes it might require you to be a star. I think twice in the finals run, Jason Tatum had games that were above 30, but that means that the other 3 games he didn't. 2 of which they won, 1 of which they lost.
Mm-hmm.
How do you convince a human being that trading your stardom, the limelight, is worth the reward?
Well, my first thought is like actual love for the game, right? Like true love for the game. So, for example, I think stars who struggle with playing with other people or seeking, to pad their stats or whatever, or Jason Tatum prior to this year, right? Feeling like he has to be the all-star scoring 30 points every night. That's more of the love for self, right? I think there's a certain, like I said, I think there's obviously there's ego, but like true love for the game of basketball, I think starts to, in a basketball sense anyway, starts to make you realize that like you aren't the game, right? Like Tatum himself isn't the game of basketball.
Yeah.
It's a team sport. And so like when you realize you aren't the game, like so for example, there's a lot of times when I play basketball, I try to make my team win and we lose. Right? Like I try to play all defense against, their best player and then
all 5.
Next best player. Yeah, all 5. Like I'm trying to get every rebound.
I got ball, guys. I got ball. Whoever has ball, we're switching.
Yeah, and then every time the shot goes up, I try to get every rebound. I try to get every shot, and you can't do it, right?
You
like
can't.
It's like the best players can't do it, and so like I'm not loving the game at that point. In fact, I'm kind of hating it because it's like I'm sucking, but like I'm also not enjoying the fact that I have to do everything and my team's not. So I'm not enjoying the game. I'm not loving the game. I'm loving myself. I'm thinking that I'm good enough to be able to do all the things that my teammates can't.
Have you ever just woke up one day and were like, life without my wife is just meaningless?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Well, because at some point, thank heavens, my children are going to grow up and move out. and so every now and then they'll catch wind that I literally, my wife is my number one. And they're somewhere behind her, but I fully expect them to go out and they can find their spouse, and I can be a distant, however, behind their kid. Like that's okay, because at the end of the day, my Splash Brothers are Rachel and Brad, and as long as she doesn't get traded to another team, and I think as we're talking about ego, I think. Right, my ego and my desire for star power has a lot to do with whether or not my wife wants to be traded to another team. I just feel like I think you've hit the nail on the head about ego, and I think you've hit the nail on the head in terms of these stat lines are not what you're shooting for. It's this poetry in motion almost. As you're playing, because let's face it, man, the no look dimes, those are fire. Where you're involving, where you're choosing to involve somebody else, and the chemistry is at such a high level. When you like fake the layup and then you behind the back and then the person comes behind and thunder dunks it and then the place goes crazy. And I think that's. Because going into the Western Conference playoffs, was there a single person who picked the Mavs to be in the finals over OKC? Yeah, nobody.
Yeah.
But you look at over and over again what beat the other team was they had no answer for when Kyrie and Luka gave up the ball to Derek Lively and to is it Gordon?
I think so. Derek Lively also, let it be noted, is a rookie who killed in the playoffs.
You're welcome. He's from Duke. You're welcome.
Yeah. He's an incredible player.
Yeah. Well, but I think I think that completely improbable run where the Mavericks beat everybody that everyone thought should be the answer to the Boston Celtics are because they played that unselfish, doesn't matter. Kyrie didn't need 35 points a game. Luka basically got 30 points every
Yeah,
second.
yeah.
But
I mean, he was the scoring leader in the NBA this year. So
yes, but again, in the same way that Jason Tatum was the leader and scored 30 points every game, Luka Doncic went home without a champion. In the exact, so like, man, there's a lot of eerie similarities.
Yeah, that's true.
By the way, I love this. I'm going to show you this for like 2 seconds because I Googled while we were discussing Paul George, and the answer to the question is in bold letters, not won any championships
in his career.
And I think if I have to, that means college and high school.
Yeah.
the way that it's stated is
yeah, maybe.
No,
yeah.
It's 0.
It's done nothing.
Wow, I didn't go that far. But,
yeah.
But he doesn't have any rings from any level of. So because it's so funny. The rub was the Celtics have only beaten hobbled teams without their stars and everybody's injured. But Kristaps Porzingis, I got to tell you, bro, he missed like the entire playoffs. And then in the finals, he pulls oh my gosh, he pulls a Patrick Mahomes and he's like, put me in and I'm hella injured and I don't care.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, the idea of Joel Embiid, healthy or not healthy, being what their champ, because I can go back and play the sound from Kendrick Perkins, who said if they don't have Kristaps Porzingis, they don't win a championship. And he wasn't the only voice. And they didn't have him, and they have a ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really feel like those things that, the poetry in motion of basketball itself, everybody playing egoless basketball, that all right. Well, let's go from let's see. Let's go from egoless basketball to maybe the most ego possible in the NBA right now.
The most possible ego.
Oh no, Ammon, come back. Come back. Hold on. You're totally cutting out.
Back?
And move. Okay. Back. Yep, you're back. Your hand came off your head. You're back.
Okay. All
right. Talk about Bronny James. No. We're gonna have to run an internet directly to your computer. We're gonna have to run a hard line to your computer.
Am I still cutting in and out?
Okay, good. There you go. All right. How? Please tell me how on earth in this universe this happened and how it doesn't have to do with ego. Of course.
It has everything to do with ego. That's all it is.
I'm gonna drive the internet over to your house.
I believe.
I'm gonna we're gonna have to set up a computer.
Is it still breaking up again?
It's like right when you in this chit chat, we can say whatever we want to, but the second you start talking about something important, it's like.
Oh, that's weird because it doesn't show it on my end. I'm eating your
worst.
Is it still going? Is it still
bad? It is. I'm like, I don't even know. Is that the universe telling us not to talk about Bronny James?
Maybe.
They're like, this guy has so much. Why does one more person have to talk about? Look, is there a universe in which this is the Lakers trying to do right by their family?
No, this is entirely.
Oh my gosh!
No, this is just LeBron James being the best player in NBA history. Not something that I believe, but like achieving a dream that he always wanted. Bronny James is not an NBA player. He was nothing special at USC, nothing at all, and this is entirely just making sure that LeBron James can have a dream come true, which honestly is cool. Like the fact that a dad gets to play with his son, like, cool. I don't think that's ever happened before.
I don't think it has.
So like the fact that you can have a dad who's physically able and still killing it on the team, and you're old enough and able enough to make it to the NBA, great. But like, Bronny James is nothing special at all.
I was really down with it. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I do think that if Danny Ainge was president of basketball operations of the Celtics and not Brad Stevens, that he would have drafted Bronny.
You think so?
And then asked for like way more than he should in a trade.
So you want to have your little dream thing with your son? Okay, we're gonna.
It's gonna cost you.
Yeah, right.
Oh man.
Oh, that would have been so dirty to be another team and draft Bronny James just. To
hold it over
LeBron.
Yeah. Because I think it was it the last? It was either the last pick or like 2 picks later was it was very near the end of the draft.
Yeah,
my understanding was that a lot of calls had gone out to other teams, and I don't know that any other than to spite, I don't think any team was in jeopardy of wanting to spend a draft pick on.
No,
but,
they knew they had a free draft pick for Bronny, pretty much. Like no other team wanted him.
Yeah. Well, what really bothered me is he's already signed a contract.
Really?
Yeah. So you did not, and I know you had.
I didn't see he signed a contract. I know they drafted him.
Well, it got worse. I was trying to see, looking at LeBron's stats, though. I mean, do you see this in his most recent year? He hasn't played this many games since 2017.
Jeez.
And he
was on the Cavaliers. Wow.
He's got the same field goal percentage. That's a hell of a field goal percentage. 54%. I wish I could. His 3-point went up.
Wow.
His rebounds were almost neck and neck, 8 points, 7.3. His assists, off by 1, but his steals are still
he killed it.
And his points, he slipped 2 points, but 25 points a game, and he's 39. He's 39. Like, look, so who, just for shoots and light, who do you put above LeBron James?
Oh, I always hold Jordan as the standard.
Oh, I guess Jordan is just such a not great human being that I really have. Like, I dislike LeBron James, but I think it's because he's so good that he rubs me the wrong way.
Mm.
But when I see him with JJ Redick on his podcast, I'll tell you the thing that really did it for me was when he. There was a Sports Kid of the Year that he presented the award for one year, and it really touched me. He really is a good guy. I just really can't stand the Lakers, and so the minute he goes to the Lakers, I'm like, this guy's dead to me.
The brow, Anthony.
I was proud of them to be honest. I couldn't believe how well they played this year, and I kind of can't believe that they didn't do more. Who put them out? Was it the Mavs? That'd be funny.
Who beat them?
Who beat them?
No,
was it Oklahoma City?
No, I think it was Nuggets. They were 8th in the Western Conference. So it would have been. They got to the 8th spot, and then. So they would have played the 1 spot, which would have been Thunder.
Oklahoma City. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because Oklahoma City was the youngest team in the NBA?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Lakers are the opposite of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, here. This is what I didn't understand. He's signing a multi-year guaranteed contract.
That's ridiculous.
I don't really have words.
He was nothing special at USC and
Correct.
hasn't played a single play in the NBA.
Yep.
Like
And we
there's
haven't even had the summer. We haven't even had summer league.
and here's the other thing. Some of the best players in college sometimes become super washed up in the NBA.
It's true.
Like and you just never know. Sometimes the least likely player in NCAA, who's had a good year, okay, whatever. I mean, Jaime Jaquez, great NCAA player, but not like the most amazing top of the line. Incredible in the Heat because he's just tall, good, sharp, good, what do you call it? Jump shooter. I mean, he had a great rookie season, and I think he's going to be an all-star eventually. But it's
look, I have up on my screen who was a prolific collegiate athlete. And I mean, you're looking at it here, man. Yeah. His career average is 10.3 points a game.
Yeah, he's nothing special.
I mean, that's a heck of a shooting percentage, but my guess is that's on low volume.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
He's doing, he's a big guy. He's doing, little bunny shots.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love Kelly Olynyk, but he has never. And look at how many teams: Celtics, Heat, Rockets, Pistons, Jazz. I mean, good night. Heat, Rockets, Pistons, Jazz, Raptors in 5 years, 5 teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's intense. So,
yep.
Sometimes it doesn't. Well, and that, are you, oh man, who's the big Edey? Zach Edey?
Oh yeah. God.
I
don't think he's not going to do anything in the NBA.
Really? So
no.
You think that was a terrible top 10 draft pick?
Oh my gosh. I watched him play the game of basketball. I do not think he's going to do well.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I kind of want to see, where did he go? Who drafted him?
He's a big body, and that's it.
Oh man.
In my opinion.
I hope Zach Edey never watches this podcast.
So here's the thing.
Oh, he's on the Grizzlies. Are you sure, Ammon, you want to say this?
So here's the thing.
Okay.
He's so good in college because nobody can move the guy.
Oh, you're saying he's just that big?
He's just that big. Nobody can move the guy. Okay. You get to the NBA, small, like not just centers, but like small centers, like, or even small forwards can play up on set. Like everyone has to be able to play into almost every position. And these guys are jacked. Some of these guys, like Zach Edey, sure, he'll get into the weight room a bit, but like he's not going to put on a ton of extra muscle. Like his body's already massive, his weight's already big, so he's not going to be adding weight, right? In terms of like muscle, they'll define him a little bit.
You don't?
I mean,
so?
A little bit, but like, I mean, he's not going to be the next Shaq. Let's just say that.
Well, where I was going to go with my next question is, do you think Shaq was just big, or did Shaq have skill?
So Shaq had no, both, absolutely both. Shaq was here's the thing. The difference is the way that the players play. So Shaq, if you look at some of his interviews, specifically talks about when he was in college, he play that way. It took a mental shift in the way that he saw himself and the way that he saw the game before he became the Shaq we all know. I don't know if you knew this, but what he realized was that when he played the game of basketball, he could be physical. He could be more physical than the next guy. And that was where his strength was. He was strong and he was big. And if he bodied and out physical to other people, they were going to back down. And so he talks about that in one of his interviews about how what like it required a mental shift in his understanding, because he wasn't doing anything special when he was big and he did, athletic things, but then he started focusing on adding weight and adding, specifically bigger body mass so he could move people and just start dunking on people. And so like with Zach Edey, when I watched him play, the dude didn't command, like he commanded attention because he was big, but like when I watched him, he didn't hunger for physical contact, if that makes sense. Shaq hungered for physical contact. He wanted you to know that he was going to dunk on your face and break the rim while he was doing it, right? Like, like you watch some of his highlights, like you saw, like he was an animal at the rim. Like Zach Edey is one of the biggest, most oppressive bodies in the game of basketball, but he doesn't have the killer instinct that someone that big should have when they're like, I'm bigger than you, I will crush you and crush the rim at the same time.
Okay, so sense? you're saying that he doesn't have the same sort of like chutzpah as Shaq did.
Yeah, I mean he could. Like if there's a switch that can change and he gets to the NBA and realizes, yeah, I'm big, but I'm not the biggest guy. Yeah, I'm big, but I'm also not the meanest. Like to be in a contact sport, you have to have a switch that you can turn. You have to be mean. Like you have to look forward to contact. You have to want to hit a guy, especially if you're a big center like him. Like you have to want to be able to move people and do it with a little, like an iron fist a little bit. Be like, I'm going to back you down and then I'm going to dunk on your face. Like just requires a mentality shift.
The guy behind him, which I love his. Do you know what they call the guy behind him?
No, he was on UConn, right?
That's Kling Kong. That's Donovan. Oh. That's Donovan Clingan. His nickname is Kling Kong, which I think is one of the coolest basketball nicknames. Do you see Donovan different than you see Zach Edey?
Yeah, I think I did see a little bit of that. I think he's got a little bit more touch when it comes to like a jump shot, but like when he's backing you down, I think I saw more of that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it'll be. I mean, the two of them went at it big. I mean, there's just shot after shot of.
Oh yeah, yeah. When they were going at it in the championship game, he had Zach Edey's number, in my opinion. When it comes to physicality, when it came to showing him up at the rim, I think he had his number.
Man, I'm interested to see. He looks like such a nice guy. And
that's my point. And he plays like it too.
Oh,
that's my point.
Okay, well, so we'll lay off Zach Edey. I hope he never sees the podcast, or he becomes a absolute celebrity and then hears me saying that it's okay. So here is a really, really interesting lens to look at this Bronny James thing. There was one term that I thought got thrown around that I thought really made me like, ooh, okay. And it's nepotism. And for those who are unfamiliar with nepotism is a particular type of favoritism in which the favorite is somebody who's related to you. So a person in power uses their power and authority to put somebody who may not be qualified into a position, right? And that's called nepotism. So this is, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, this is from 2015. This is the then president of the church, Gordon B. Hinckley. And I thought this was huge. How old were you in 2005, Ammon?
13.
Okay. You might have missed this.
It might have gone over my head.
It might have been. Okay. My dear brethren, we've had a wonderful meeting. I wish to endorse all that was said and leave my blessing on you. But first, I want to say just a word concerning concerning those we've sustained this afternoon as members of the Quorum of 70. I'm convinced that there are literally hundreds of brethren worthy and capable to serve as general officers of the church. They're everywhere. Those that we sustain have been chosen to fulfill particular responsibilities, and in most cases, this will involve a sacrifice which they willingly made. Among those sustained is my 63-year-old son. I make it clear that I did not advance his name. That was done by others whose right it was to do so. I feel extremely sensitive on the matter of nepotism. As the lawyers say, I recused myself from participating. However, I do believe he's worthy and qualified in every aspect. In the first place, he had a great and wonderful mother. I wish I could recommend his father, which was great because he's a humble guy. I mention this because of my sensitivity concerning the matter of nepotism. Please do not hold it against him because of his relationship with me. He is powerless to help that. So I did not see any sort of that same sort of spirit and demeanor from LeBron James regarding his son.
Really? Okay.
Well, did you see any recusal? Did you see LeBron James come out publicly and say, I did not ask the Lakers? I'm saying if I'm looking at Gordon B. Hinckley, who's the president of a, at the time, 15 million member church worldwide, who at the beginning of his message says, I need all of you to know this, I appreciate that you sustained my son, but I wasn't I didn't put his name forth. I wasn't part of the interview process. And I frankly just washed my hands of the whole thing because I do not want you to think that this young man, 63-year-old young man, is in the position he is because of my power and authority. And I didn't see any of that in LeBron James.
No, not at all. No. In fact, I would say the opposite. He's made it very clear he wanted to play in the NBA with Bronny.
And
over the past couple years.
And I think what they've done is a little dangerous. For instance, one person put forth Bronny James, who, if his last name is Bronny Smith or Bronny Sanderson or Bronny Jabroni, whatever, doesn't get drafted.
No, absolutely not.
And because he was drafted, somebody else who was who really put in the work, who played 4 years of college, who did a fantastic job, it went undrafted.
Yep.
And this kid who already has power, who already has fame, who already has name recognition, who already has endorsement deals, who already, the rich get richer.
Yeah.
And somebody was essentially robbed of the opportunity to get out of their situation that they're in simply because of the nepotism that existed. And while I really want... I love the idea of father and son playing together.
Right.
But he could have been undrafted and right.
Yeah.
And why is he already signed to a multi-year guaranteed deal?
Yeah, that is disgusting. Yeah.
So I guess there's really not a whole lot to talk about other than for anybody who's interested and says, then what should it have looked like? I'm gonna say Gordon B. Hinckley 2005 is, if you want to remove all doubt, then you tell the public you were not part of this at all. Because the other thing somebody pointed out that I thought was really insightful is, what does this do to Bronny James? What does this do to him in the locker room with the other guys that he plays with?
Yeah. It's because you're only here because you're dad, man.
Because
everyone knows it. Everyone knows it.
If dad didn't get the whole locker room on board, the Lakers are about to have the worst season they've seen in a long time. Because chemistry matters.
Oh, yeah.
And JJ Redick now got put in one of the worst situations I could possibly imagine.
Where he has to decide if he's going to play Bronny James.
And
Yeah.
and if there is a real friendship that was formed in their podcast, does he throw that out the window in the interest of, let's be honest, doing the right thing?
Yeah. If he's a coach, and it comes time, he says, Bronny, sorry, you ain't getting any playing time.
Now, could Bronny be good at some things we don't know? Maybe. Could he carve out a Peyton Pritchard like role? Maybe. But will Bronny James put up a triple-double in the last game of the season when he's given the reins of the team? Because I have to tell you, that's what Peyton Pritchard did when he got his time, is he went, 30, 11, and 16. And that's a badass stat line.
Yeah.
and when that's our bench warmer, when our bench warmer puts up a triple-double when he's in charge of the team, I got to tell you, I'm okay. Like, the guy, he's earned his spot. He's just as legitimate as and again, I'm going to reserve judgment because I have never seen the guy play, because he didn't play 4 years. USC was, is Mick Cronin? No, Mick Cronin is coaching the UCLA Bruins, right?
I'd have to check. I don't even think USC made it to
who coached
the big dance this year.
The USC men's basketball team. Okay. Oh, Eric Musselman. I mean, I guess I've heard that name before. Or, oh, that was in April? Was Musselman the coach? Because that was, what? Okay. Is that because somebody got fired? How do you get hired in April if the NCAA tournament is in? Does that mean they sucked and they fired the coach?
I think they made it.
Yeah, I think if Eric Musselman is hired April 4, that has to be because the guy that was there April 3rd got fired. Because when is the NCAA championship? The season isn't even over, right? On April 4th, aren't they in the
I
Final
think I think that's Final Four. That's the final.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah, because March 5th, 13th is when it starts, and then it ends the first week in April.
Yeah. Yep. So they couldn't have been that good if they're hiring
no,
a
they
coach.
weren't.
Yeah.
They weren't.
Yep. All right. Well, all right. So that's what we're gonna say. Sadly, it is a blatant case of nepotism, and I'm sad. It means that a lot of people are going to be impacted, and this is the first time in my life I felt bad for the Los Angeles Lakers, because they're in a really hard spot. JJ Redick of everyone on the
I know.
Can you believe hiring a new coach and then sticking him with this issue?
And being hey, good luck trying to figure out playing time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I don't know what it's got to be somebody in basketball operations, right? That issues that or that extends that contract. JJ Redick has nothing to do with that contract.
No, he doesn't.
Okay,
no,
thank heavens.
No. So the thing is, JJ Redick right now is praying that Bronny becomes one of the
injured.
Well, either that or one of the most shining stars
ever,
unexpected shining ever.
Underrated.
So that looks really good that he's playing with LeBron James.
And look, for everyone's sake involved, I also would like to see Bronny James prove to us that this was all a bunch of essentially mean talk. And I will apologize 100%. And the first triple-double Bronny James gets, I will apologize. Because I don't know how many triple-doubles Peyton Pritchard has. I know of the one because I love that time of the year where they're resting everybody, and I'm like, Peyton Pritchard don't want to rest. Bring that boy out there. let him
Yeah.
light that. And, oh my gosh. I watched the highlights back from that game, and it was just the announcer going, Pritchard from from the logo, from the corner, Peyton. Like, I think he hit 11 threes in that game.
Wow.
It was nuts. And that was with his like 16 assists. So like
Doing everything.
It was beautiful to see. Okay. Is it just because we live in the great state of Iowa that that this person matters at all?
No. Caitlin Clark is everything. She's the Steph Curry of women's basketball. She's changing the game.
Okay. Now, are you? Because I don't feel like. Do you feel like people tuned in to the NBA to watch Curry? Or are you saying the game is played differently? Because certainly,
so a couple. So yeah, yes. So similar to how like Michael Jordan made the NBA international, like an international game that just blew up, that became the NBA became a thing all over the world and was exciting. Steph Curry, I think, because of the way he changed the game, turned heads, and people were realizing, who is this person hitting these shots from 5 feet outside the 3-point line and consistently doing it? Who's turning his back after he shoots a three, and it goes in, So like Caitlin Clark, obviously she's hitting big shots like that, but it's more than that. I mean, she's the whole package, right? Like she just went into the WNBA and is already killing it. So I guess my point is she's having the same impact that a player like Steph Curry did. I mean, it's her skill, it's her humility, and she's just game was because of her. So, that's saying something.
Okay, you say that again about. Are you saying that you personally? I lost you.
Yeah, me personally. So I've.
Oh man, why is your audio cutting out now? Isn't the storm over?
Yet.
Okay, you're back.
So I'm back now?
You are back now. You're moving again. Your picture moves.
Yeah. I was just saying, Caitlin Clark got me to watch my first women's NCAA basketball game. So,
and same here.
She's having success.
I wonder though. I would love to. We're gonna have to get somebody. If anyone's watching from out of state, I probably should have. Okay, we're good. If someone's watching from out of state and wants to, could you please comment, everybody down below, when you watch this later? If anybody's now, let us know. I remember when Rachel was like, I didn't know you watched women's basketball, because I was talking about, and I have had the New York Liberty. I dated a girl in high school, and like, oh man, what year was that? 97. And I'm a loyal guy, and I'm like, this chick's from New York, so I'm like all things New York. The Buffalo Sabres are my hockey team. The New York Knicks are my basketball team. Thankfully, Charlie Ward was drafted by them out of Florida State, and so like I had a reason to like the Knicks. And then when the Liberty started, I'm like, I guess the Liberty are my favorite WNBA team because they're from New York. And so, but admittedly, I really have not kept up until Caitlin Clark. And I started watching women's collegiate games. And it was almost like subconscious. Because I don't like Iowa. I'm a Cyclone. I want Iowa to lose. You know what I mean? That's the rival team.
Yeah.
But you are right about her humility. And even when they try to go at her and get her to say things about her teammates or say things about the refs, or like, I don't know that I've ever seen her like be the star that she really is.
Mm.
In the state of Iowa, have you ever gone to Iowa City?
Yeah.
Did you ever go shopping at a Hy-Vee when Caitlin Clark was at the University of Iowa?
No. I haven't.
I kid you not, Ammon. Around every corner there was a cardboard cutout of Caitlin Clark in Hy-Vee with her basketball. She was on top of produce displays. She was in front of the soda aisle. She was at the checkout. She was in there. Like, that chick got paid in college. She was in Gatorade.
Awesome.
She was in Gatorade commercials in college. She was the Hy-Vee spokesperson. Like, she's a bad.
Yeah.
Do you know she was 1 rebound away from the first rookie ever in the WNBA history to get a triple double?
Really?
Yeah, the other night. I think it was in this game. I'm almost positive it was in this game. And she had like 15, 9, and 11. She was 1 rebound away from the first ever triple double in women's pro basketball.
Dang.
So, yeah, it's sexist of me. I don't know why. I didn't have a reason. I felt like I didn't have a reason to watch women's basketball. And now I'm like, well, let me go check on my Liberty. Maybe now I have a legitimate, because I hate that she's on the Fever, because I don't. We live in Iowa. Indiana's a rival state. I don't like Indiana. I don't like their college team. I really don't want to like their pro team. Why did she get drafted by the Indiana? But Sabrina Ionescu is on the New York Liberty, who I have liked since the inception of WNBA, and she is an Oregon Duck, just like Peyton Pritchard. And so Sabrina Ionescu is lighting it up. I don't know if have you seen the?
Well, isn't she kind of like the one of the rivals to Caitlin Clark?
I think she's a second-year player.
Oh.
So I am sure they saw each other.
No, Sabrina Ionescu. Oh, she's that sharpshooter 3-point shooter. She did the 3-point contest with Steph Curry. That's right.
Yes. She is unbelievable.
Yeah. That's right.
Where are her stats? What? Why are they making this so hard? Okay. Yeah, she's at 18 points a game. Oh my gosh, where are recent games? Where was that one game? Man. Oh, see all. There we go. Yeah, this is a bad chick. I mean, she had a stretch where she 19, 31, 24, 26, 23. So 4 games in a row the chick just went off. And I'm pretty sure, 4 for 9 from 3, 4 for 9, 6 for, that's better than 50%. That day she went for 31, she hit better than 50% in threes. Yeah. Free throw percentage. Oh my gosh. Look at this. 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. Let's go, Sabrina. That's what, hit your free throws, kids. Hit your free throws. Yeah. So she is a heck of a WNBA player, and she's a former Oregon Duck. There you go. She was the number 1 pick in 2020.
Makes sense.
Need I say? I mean, clearly that was a good choice.
Yeah.
Clearly that was a good choice. So she's a heck of a player. Well, all right. What have we? Let's check out our run of show. Okay, so we've hit all of our run of show topics. What do you think this is short lived, or do you think that from now on, true basketball fans are going to have one eye on the NBA or the WNBA?
I think.
Hold on one sec. Okay, see, move. Okay, you're moving again. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think fan when I'm WNBA, just because I like, and I'll go into YouTube and kind of check out her highlights from here and there. And so, like, yeah, I'm not watching her games, but I'm watching her highlights, which is, you know, the next step. So
it is. And I honestly, now I will say this, I'm a little disappointed. I have watched games in which I know for a fact Peyton Pritchard got 15 points, 16 points, and I'll watch the highlights from the Celtics game, and it's Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and I'm like, guys, there's like 15 other guys on this team. Can we see the highlights and not just the plays that Jason Tatum made? So when I go to the WNBA, even though the Liberty are, where's the standings? Overview stats. Where the heck are the standings? Why does ESPN make this so hard? I mean, legitimately, this. Okay, they're Eastern Conference standings. The New York Liberty are 17-3. Wow. To put that in perspective, the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark's team, is 8-13.
Ooh.
Please tell me why, when I go to the score recap on CBS Sports HQ on my app, there's highlights for the Fever game, and there are no highlights for the team that is leading the Eastern Conference in the WNBA, in which they have a legitimate superstars that are shooting the lights out, and there's no highlights.
Well, I think you're riding. They're trying to ride the wave, right? I mean, Caitlin Clark is an icon. They recognize that, and if you're putting highlights of Liberty, the truth is people just aren't interested, right? So, like, you have to meet people where they're at. If people are interested in Caitlin Clark, you provide them the content for that, and over time, you know, I think then they get more invested in other teams, other highlights, right? So
I guess what I'm saying in that exact case where you're saying over time they get interested in, why wouldn't they want to make those available so that when, like, right now,
I see what you're saying.
Because again, yeah. I got excited, and then I was like, oh wait, I'm a Liberty like I got to go check my team, and I go and my team doesn't have a highlight video. Isn't it at some point, if you're not a Fever fan and you like that, they won't let you be a fan of the other teams?
That's true. You'd think because Caitlin Clark knowing that people are looking for content.
Yeah. I would think, like, knowing that people are online, and now they're ready and they're willing to watch, now would be the time that you would. Yeah. I've started trying to watch, because I am watching sports so that I could turn around and tell my kids like life lessons. Like, let me tell you what Joe Mazzulla said this week, guys. Because I feel like I shouldn't be watching sports if it doesn't make me better as a person, and it's just entertainment. All I'm doing is taking time away from my family that I owe them as a father of 7. Mm-hmm. But because I feel like I improve so much for it, like the concept of, for however long it takes, whatever it takes for however long it takes. That's probably my number one takeaway from the Celtics season. And I've found myself in moments where my back is against the wall and I'm facing a challenge and I'm having a hard time, that I'm telling myself, whatever it takes for however, like, don't put a time limit on it. Stop imposing this arbitrary timeline where you think you have to do this life milestone by this time period. Like, Brad, just do whatever it takes for however long it takes. I feel like if I can't translate that into the real life, then I'm doing a disservice to my family by, like, setting them aside to do this thing I love.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully folks will find that we add value. Thank you, everybody, I know this went longer than I thought, but then again, this is my guilty pleasure to get to talk to Ammon He's one of my favorite people, and so we'll come up with. We'll see how often we're going to do this. We'll certainly try to do any breaking news. We'll try to bring. I mean, today was like just breaking news story after breaking news. It's when I saw the Golden State thing, I was like, all right, we have to.
Yeah, right.
We got to start our podcast because I know that. Is it going to be hard for you to watch this year, the Golden State Warriors, without Klay?
No, I've always been primarily.
Like he was injured for 2 years.
I watched when he was gone for 2 years. No.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no. Draymond Green and Steph Curry are still going to do great things. So.
Is Draymond gonna finally stop with all the technical fouls and the?
Nah. Come on, man. We're talking about Draymond here.
I will say though that there does seem to be a person who's playing a part on the court who's different from the human being that shows up in the press conferences. Do you ever feel like he has a particular role to play, and that this is at the end of the day it's an entertainment product, and Draymond, are you not entertained?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I felt that way about Dennis Rodman. I felt that about Rasheed Wallace. That I felt Allen Iverson was kind of like that, and then they call him Mr. Misunderstood. So part of Allen Iverson was he never really was the bad boy he was made out to be, and then part of it is he did come from the hood. He did part of that was his challenge to overcome where he had been in his life. There's some really good documentaries on him and his coach, especially in those final years. But I wish Allen Iverson were around, like Charles Barkley and Shaq and Kenny the Jet. All these guys that have come back to like put on a headset and I would love to see Allen Iverson.
It'd be pretty cool.
Well, I know I tuned into the NBA on TNT to watch Charles Barkley. Like let's totally flat out, yeah. Which is another headline, I guess, for another day, because that whole show is like it got sold from TNT or they shut it down. Yeah,
it's a whole thing. Yeah,
it is a whole thing. All right, well, we'll talk about it another day. Ammon, it's a pleasure. It's good to see you, my dude.
Awesome.
I hope you feel. Are you feeling better? Are you gonna be back at church on Sunday?
Yeah.
And of course, it cuts out.
Thank you.
Okay, are you back one more time? Worst.
Oh no.
Okay, are you back? Are you healthy? Are you gonna be at church on Sunday?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you.
That's good. Because the choir performance is coming up, and
I know. I gotta be there.
You've got to be there. Otherwise, Sister Williams is taking your spot, and we're all just gonna follow her.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good to see you. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. If you feel free in the comments, if you would, if there's stories that we missed, if there's things you're like, I can't believe they didn't talk about this. If you have questions, please leave them in the comments, and then we'll try to come back with breaking news, and then we'll try to do this at least once a week until you guys until you all, guys and gals, tell us we're terrible, please get off the air, or we're the best thing in podcasts and you want more of us. So one of two things will happen. We'll get booed off the air, or people will applaud us with their likes and shares and comments. So, all right. Thanks everybody for joining us. We're going to end it here, and we will see you next week for the Wash Up and the Wannabe.